to our festival on May 13th, I'm not the one who's in charge of syncing, but it doesn't hurt for me to get some practice on that. So I know that Jim is here, so hopefully this is better than last week, because I know last week there was a lot of talk about whether or not I was in sync. And I learned a couple tricks. I hope that they were the right tricks. So if I can hear back from Jim, if you can let me know if this is going to work. So let me double check. How am I sounding? I definitely had to play around. I think every time we have a test run with the festival, obviously there has to be changes to my laptop, and then it affects everything else. So it's not very loud. Oh no, can't hear a thing. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of that's what was going on. Does that help a little bit? How does that work? Oh, hi, Jack. Jack Skeleton, good to see you. Can I actually be heard a little bit better now, or is it a little on the crazy side? I'm still figuring this part out. This is the thing when you have, oh, thank you, Jack Skeleton. I sound fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. See, we just had a test run last Friday, and again, it plays around with the settings. And so I know that Sterling's going to have to play around with the settings again, but he already knows what they need to be because he did it the last time. So that's wonderful, isn't it? And I am excited because our last test run on Friday was wonderful. We finally worked out some things we really needed to get done. We had to get a split screen so that we could have American Sign Language. And I was in that spot for American Sign Language, not to sign, but just so that the videographers could get an idea of maybe movement of arms. And I didn't really do so much of that. I did some dancing sometimes because we had Dave and Carol Sharp and they were playing Celtic music. So who couldn't help but dance to something like that? And of all days, it was actually Dave Sharp's birthday. And that was very kind of him to do a second test run on his birthday. So of course we sang to him. That was important. I even videotaped that as proof that we did wish him happy birthday, which was really nice. Oh, but it was just a big relief because compared to Friday, May 1st, we were still fiddling around with some of the equipment. And then there was a kind guy by the name of Josh Helverston, and he actually does a lot with live streaming, and he let us use his ATM, which is huge. And it made all the difference. It really did. We also were able to play around with the 3 video cameras and figuring out what is the best role for each of those cameras. We have one camera that focuses on the wide view. We have a camera that focuses on close-ups. And then we have another camera whose sole job is to make sure that American Sign Language interpreter really looks good. And yes, I feel much more ready for this Wednesday. This Wednesday is the big day. In fact, it was such a big day that this morning I had to wake up at 5 a.m., but it was worth it. I got to be interviewed by Fox 13 News. It was pretty crazy. So yes, yay to Wednesday. Yes, welcome, Alan. Sorry for being so late. I haven't been late to these before, and I learned new tricks that I can actually, before streaming, I can actually record and listen to my sound and watch to see if I'm in sync, because last week I definitely wasn't in sync. And it sounds like from all of you that I'm doing much better this time, which is awesome. But that test run, even though we did the streaming longer for the test run, it's because we had all the pieces together so we could finally test all of them. On May 1st, we only got, we did about 22 minutes or so of the actual streaming, but we were having trouble every time we would try to switch cameras. There would be this delay for 6 or 7 seconds. It'd be like, 1 moment, please, which we can't exactly have for the festival. I mean, if it's going to be something like that, you might as well just have one camera. But we still persevered, And May 8th, we could have 3 cameras. We could have our split screen. We could have our American Sign Language all taken care of. Whew, just wonderful. And every time I have Dave and Carol Sharp in my home and they're playing that amazing Celtic music, oh, that's just wonderful. I mean, live in person. Think of that. Not many of us get to have that live performing experience anymore. We at least get some, maybe through Twitch, maybe through Facebook, maybe through YouTube or other means, but to have it live, I feel like I'm really spoiled. I'm really spoiled. Yes, I am. Well, we also learned that even though we loved what was going on for the split screen with American Sign Language, that we're going to tighten it up because anytime you have more than one camera, you have, even with one camera, you can be off sync. Because right now I had one and I had to fix the sync just for this one camera on my laptop. But when you have 3 cameras, you have even more possibilities of things being off sync. And what we discovered was the American Sign Language was just slightly behind. But because they're interpreting, it was okay for it to be slightly behind. However, whenever you have a duo, you don't want to have part of the duo in the split screen because then you'll see them doing one thing and then they're not in another. So we're going to tighten that up so that's not going to happen. And it's just going to be beautiful. I'm just going to cry, I'm sure of it. Happy tears. Now, it's less than 48 hours, really closer to 1.5 days to the festival. So what is now happening? Certain things are just too late. Certain things you go, well, that would be nice, and we'll put it on the list for next year. That's what happens. And you write it down on what I call a tickler file. I don't know what you call it, but I call it a tickler file. And that way we remember it for next time. Google Docs has really come to the rescue, and Google Sheets for being those ticklers. Oh, and 36 hours and counting? Jack Skeleton, is that me? That couldn't be me. I don't know if I've been streaming that long now. Oh no, 36 hours to the festival. Okay, I was wondering because I know streaming hours, though after Wednesday, there will be a lot more hours on this stream and it'll be glorious. Not just listening to me, it'll be great because it'll be these wonderful, amazing, let me tell you, the first one on Wednesday will be Baba Yaga, the witch. Now, do you know your Russian folklore? If you don't know Baba Yaga, you have to look her up. Maybe even research some things before Wednesday because she is famous for having a house on top of chicken legs. Yes, chicken legs. Oh, good, precise. I love that, Jack Skeleton. 35 hours, 41 minutes to the festival to be precise. I love it. Oh, I love knowing that. That actually gets me excited. Sometimes I get nervous, but there's so much that is put in place. We have these virtual field trips. We've been sending out reminders. We've been having media coverage. I mean, all those things have happened. Usually when it's 2 weeks out, so many things are boom, boom, it's done. Not that there isn't anything to do every day. Now it's the reminding of people. Even if you sent them a reminder one time, you got to send them another reminder. So Tuesday is a very big day to remind them of tomorrow's the big day. And then I need someone like Jack Skeleton to keep track of. It's now only 12 hours and 5 minutes away to be precise, right? Exactly. Well, oh, and Jim was mentioning that I was great this AM. Well, thank you. Yes, I was very proud of myself this morning, and part of the countdown to the festival was media coverage. It's always nice to get the media coverage before the event. It's nice after, because then you can reflect, and then hopefully people keep it in their minds. Sometimes when it's after, it also helps when it comes to funders or perhaps foundations or other people who might donate because now they've heard about this and now we can share some results of it. But if you have the media coverage before, you're hoping that you might have gained some people. And I think we will have gained people because of Fox 13 News this morning. Waking up at 5 a.m. The last time I woke up towards that time was high school. Or I have to admit, at least once a year with this festival, whether it's live or virtual, I always have to wake up early because if it's live, you have to make sure that all the chairs are ready, that all the tables are ready, that the volunteers are in order, that all the people are there at check-in, the packets all ready to give to the schools as they come in. So this is a weird year. Usually we have packets to give schools, and now we're just sending them emails, which Joanne is in charge of, and I'm so glad for that. So that's one less thing for me to worry about. But I tend to focus on a lot of the marketing, and I focus a lot on the registrations with our virtual workshops that are coming up. So last night, I had to send out an email to anyone who registered for the virtual workshops of, hey, here's what you need. You do have a final step. You do need your Zoom link and password. That paying is not enough. You have to have the link. So even when I do things late at night, there is a beautiful thing of scheduling emails where you don't actually have to send it right away. And that way they don't have to see that I was up at, 2 a.m. or something. But I wasn't, because I was going to get up at 5 a.m. So I wasn't up. I was a good girl. I went to bed at 1 a.m. and then got up at 5 a.m. I got 4 hours, which is pretty good. That's actually 4 to 6 hours is my average. But that's always been the case, whether it's festival countdown or not. That's just kind of who I am right now. We'll see how that changes as time goes on. So got those emails out, had people thanking me for getting that out there, and were more people that registered today. So guess what I'm going to be doing after the streaming? I'm going to be sending more emails saying, here's what you need. Please, you need a Zoom link and you need a password to make this possible. But I've also been reaching out to anyone I can think of. Oh, wait, did I forget this people? For example, I reached out to the Utah Storytelling Guild president and said, do you mind just sending this last chance email out? And she texted me back really quick and she said she would. And I'm thrilled about that. And I also reached out to our liaisons. Now you have board members and then you have liaisons. I know that sounds really fun, at least if I say it that way. But these are the people who don't have to do board responsibilities or voting, but they do connect because we have a lot of feed-in festivals with Story Crossroads. We have the Murray Storytelling Showcase, which includes the Murray School District. We have the Canyons School District Storytelling Festival. We have Jordan School District, but sadly they had to cancel their festival for their district, but we still have 2 representatives from Jordan School District. So we still made sure that something could happen with Jordan, even though there was that understandable cancellation for them. And then we had tellers from the Clearfield Storytelling Festival and the Clinton Storytelling Festival, and also the Riverton and Taylorsville Senior Centers. That's quite a few. Isn't that amazing? And that's not even all of them. Usually we also would get feed-in from the American Prep Academy with their speech festival. But again, the timing of that event and everything, it just was a little trickier this year. So instead of our usual 40 community tellers, we ended up getting 17, which is still a lovely number. And when you combine all their stories together, it actually lasts for about an hour and a half. And it's a wonderful, lovely hour and a half. And so I reminded the liaisons connected to each of these feed-ins that, oh, this is the link. People could now save and set a reminder on this YouTube that they can watch it when it premieres on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So that was also those little things that add up. They're not huge. They're not the most important thing, but important enough to me, I think. And then we also still have the arts education handouts to complete. Now we do already have arts education handouts on our website, but I want to have up there for the Celtic stories and social studies and tall tales and language arts. And it's still not up yet. It's so close. If it doesn't go out soon, it might be one of those things that suddenly didn't make it. Because there's always a few things every year that just don't make it, but yet it's still a great festival. It's amazing how that happens. So the most important things are in place. We figured out with the videographers and our equipment that we need for Wednesday. We have our performers. We have our American Sign Language interpreters. I mean, what's most important is done. it's just all these little things that just make me feel better if it gets accomplished. What's also been happening is that I've been double checking on the form when people have marked that they are planning to virtually attend. And this is not a registration, there's no cost connected to it, but you have to check because on that form, if people have questions, you have to be able to answer them in a timely manner. And considering that the festival's on Wednesday, I have to answer anything that's on there tonight. And then I have to answer before I go to bed tomorrow night anything that might pop up. If it happens on Wednesday and they type it in there, they might not get an answer until the next day. That's just how it's going to be. But there's so much besides checking the virtual attending. We've also had to connect with board members and just remind them, hey, how's it going? Did you check in with so-and-so organization or so-and-so group? So, for example, Kira is on our board, and she was checking in with the Blind Center. We usually would have a performance at the Blind Center. So it's strange not to have that, but we wanted to still have that connection, and maybe they will share it. And that's a big reason why we do audio files with our promo and our press kit, because specifically with them in mind. And so she was working on that. And then Jim and Joanne, they both were specifically trying to promote one of our particular workshops and really looking to people who love family history. And, seeing that this is in Utah, you'd think it'd be really easy, but we're still working on it, and it's still nice. Any connections we make with this, guess what? We can use in the future. So even if it's not in time for this event, it will be in time for other events. So that's a good thing. Always keep that in mind. If it's something that just doesn't happen right away, it will still help you in the future. And yes, welcome, Vicki. Hello to you too. Very exciting. We're in countdown mode. And let's see, Jack Skellington, if you're there, how many hours and minutes is it now, to be precise? The last time it was 35 hours and 41 minutes to the festival on Wednesday. And now we're also looking at another big thing that has to happen, because I promised it, would be closed captioning with our YouTube video, with our 1.5 hours of those 17 community and youth tellers who are really wonderful and amazing. In fact, my own kids, because they were listening as these videos were being put together, they said, oh, I love that one. Oh, wait, I love that one. Oh, I love that one. That's a good thing. They can't figure out their favorite. That's a good thing. And maybe you won't be able to figure out your favorite too when you listen in on that. So very exciting. But closed captioning. Could I just have people click on the CC and see what YouTube pops up with? Yes. But have you ever clicked on the CC and it hasn't been set up, and it's the weirdest thing sometimes? Have you ever tried that? Any of you out there? I don't want that to happen for these wonderful tellers. I don't want suddenly weird names or nouns or who knows what that will pop up. So we're going to make sure that happens. And the other big reason we're doing that is because for all other events on Wednesday, we're going to have American Sign Language. And for pre-recorded, we're not doing American Sign Language, but the least that we can do is have closed captioning. And I have several friends who are in the deaf community who said that they really appreciate when people think ahead and not just do the automatic closed captioning, but the ones that are actually put in there. So that's what we're going to do. And since it is an hour and a half, if it was done by hand, it would take at least double that time, maybe triple that time. And I think, Jim, if you're on here, you may have thoughts. You said YouTube is able to do it. I was able to put it on YouTube. I was able to schedule it. I know you can always do closed captioning after the fact, even when you schedule it, because the scheduling's in the future. But all the closed captioning I've been clicking on was not anything that was automatic. This is what I would love. That it would be automatic. I have it, and now I can fix it as I go along. So it's not like I'm typing everything. I'm just kind of fixing things as I go along. But I don't know. But it's going to happen. That is one of those big things I do want to get done. Oh, And what I'm really excited about, we have an official Story Crossroads maze. A maze. Now, that's not a performing art thing. That's definitely a visual art thing. And Joe Wos is the one we commissioned to make that. He is amazing. He's been a cartoonist for a long, long time. Decades. And he has a very popular series right now on Facebook and YouTube and other means. He's actually restreaming. That's why he's on so many platforms of how to draw tunes. And he is the one who used the inspiration of our performers of this year's Spectacular and incorporated them into a maze. And you can print them off. So it doesn't matter your age. We specifically said young at heart. So if you are young at heart, which I would hope we all are, really, then you may print it off and you will see just this amazing talent. And now, every year, we're going to have a new one. So whoever's performing, then Joe will ponder and think and suddenly be inspired. And he doesn't use whiteout. When he creates these mazes, I don't know how he does it. This is such strategic planning. You know, storytellers have to be strategic planning, but, you know. Oh, and see, I'm getting my precise times again. Thank you, Alan. 35 hours and 27 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, by the time I read that, now it's probably a few less seconds. But yes. Okay, and Jim, thank you, Jim. Checking on YouTube. Good, because that's kind of the big thing I kind of want to double check on. Otherwise, if we do it the long way, I already know what Tuesday is going to be for me tomorrow. But I know that it has to be easier than this. And I know you're doing research. So the good news is the video is together. We just need to add the closed captioning and keep that promise. Super important. Now, I mentioned it really fast, but I did want to talk more about it, was when we did Fox 13 News this morning. Oh, and I appreciate you being here, Alan. Yes, it's much later where it is. How much of a time difference for you, Alan? Is it a couple hours? Or is it 1 hour? Even if it's 1 hour, that is getting still late. I guess I'm so used to 10 p.m. being early evening for me that I forget what that means. Oh, 1 hour. Okay. Yes. But still, take good care of yourself. I appreciate you being here. I'm excited. And we were able to be excited on Fox 13 News. And when I got the phone call, my heart was pounding, but I still had to remain calm. It says, yes, of course we would love to do this. But I thought maybe we were getting maybe 2 minutes. But no, we got 6 2-minute segments. 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Whoa. So we got to have 6 different groups featured. So our first one up was Dale Boehm, and he is on our board with our academics and translation. But he also has amazing talents galore as a storyteller, as an interpreter, as a lawyer, as a tall tale teller. I mean, holy cow, he's like a Renaissance man. And he was able, in front of Big Buddha, who's the famous one there with Good Day, Utah, he was able to sign and talk at the same time. So impressive. So impressive. And I know Big Buddha was impressed. We were all impressed. And then right after that, maybe waiting about 15-20 minutes per segment, roughly, then we had Joanne, and she had her 2 daughters, and both of her daughters were selected to be a part of those 17 that are part of that premiere video that will go up. And they were wonderful too. What's funny is that the mom, Joanne, was saying that her daughters are actually pretty shy, that they are great performers, but they're pretty shy. And I think if you would actually survey a lot of performers, my guess, this is not a scientifically, proven thing. My guess, from what I can tell, is that 50-50. 50 when it comes to extroverts and 50 that are introverts. That they love that stage, but as soon as they come off, oh boy, they just kind of need to be alone, and that's fine. They're still giving wonderful, amazing art. We just have to recognize that, we have different needs of whatever that is. And here I have these two amazing youth, absolute wonderful performers who get a little shy, and I didn't think about that when I asked them to be on, Fox 13 News. But they did a great job. They were able to work it out, and during that 15-20 minute time, Big Buddha was actually able to coach them a little bit. So there was a little off time that he could coach them, and it was really wonderful to watch that. And part of me wishes I recorded it, but sometimes there's things that you just don't want to record. You have it in your memory, but you don't have to record it on a camera or a phone or something. But it was lovely. Well, then after that, after 15 or 20 minutes later, there was Baba Yaga and the shoemaker elf. And Jim, for some reason, I think you might know the shoemaker elf. Possibly. You might have some connections in one way or another. Looked a lot like you, Jim. But I know it wasn't you. Of course it wasn't you, Jim. But it looked a lot like you, that shoemaker elf. And it was fun. Now, it's funny because during this whole time, with all these interviews, it was the strangest kind, because you have to have the social distancing, or I like to call it proper distancing. I've heard people call it physical distancing. I like proper distancing. That sounds better to me. But Big Buddha had to have this long stick on his interview microphone so that he could stretch it out and there still be that 6 feet distance. And when we weren't filming, we were wearing masks. But then for the moment, then we would take off the masks. And if there's a video that I put on Facebook about my view, not the view of the cameraman himself, but my view, where you can see this long stick and you can just see how far apart everyone is. And that's not what you usually do. Oh, yes. And Jim is saying here, you never know. Remember, I live in your imagination. When it comes to the shoemaker elf, and then you, Jim, yeah, ponder there. Now, Jim, you got to be interviewed, and it had to go back and forth between Baba Yaga and yourself. And I thought Big Buddha did a great job in making sure you both had a decent amount of things to say. That was very kind of him, because he did say that normally when he interviews, because it's only a 2-minute segment, that you only interview one person. But I only had so many things, and I wanted to cover American Sign Language. I wanted to cover youth tellers. I wanted to cover the storybook characters. At least that's what Big Buddha called Baba Yaga and the shoemaker elf. I always called them oral traditional characters. Maybe that's because I'm a storyteller, and those are the terms that I'm used to as a storyteller. But when he actually said storybook characters, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe that's what I should have said all this time, but that's okay. If I say oral traditional characters on our website, maybe it sounds more academic. You never know. And yes, when he did, yes, Big Buddha did do a great job. Well done by him. Yes, well, because, of course, Big Buddha has done this interviewing for a long time. I mean, I remember him well over 10 years ago, so he's been doing it for a long time. I can't imagine how long he has been doing this. So he knows how to do that. He knows how to just laugh and feel like he's there with you. He really wants to promote the arts, and he does a great job. So I love that. And so it's nice to have that showing with Baba Yaga and the shoemaker elf, at least a little bit. What's funny is for the festival on Wednesday, they won't be at the same time. They will have their own time. And because of that, they can delve a little bit deeper instead of sharing. So Jim, aren't you glad that your friend, the shoemaker elf, because I'm sure you're connected in some way, that they don't have to share time on Wednesday? Then we can explore more of elfdom, right? Well, then after Baba Yaga and the shoemaker elf, we had Dave and Carol Sharp. And if you've been watching our test runs, we've been having Dave and Carol Sharp. And not only have we done that because they're wonderful, but we've done that because they have instruments. And there's a little bit more things you have to figure out whenever there are instruments. And it was always the drum that was tricky. Well, he did do the drum for Fox 13. And That was wonderful, and especially when you're in a park and it just echoes throughout those parks with those trees and the leaves just kind of swaying in the breeze, and you can see that there's this cloud that's kind of whisking by. You don't know if it's going to rain or not, and then you can hear the sound of the stream nearby. Oh, it was just magical. And I felt like Dave and Carol Sharp, they were summoning the fairy people. Maybe that's why the shoemaker elf was there, because I mean, listening or knowing that Dave and Carol Sharp would be playing such music. I mean, what elf, what fairy, what magical creature wouldn't come forth out of the brush? So that was wonderful to do that. And Big Buddha actually knows David and Carol Sharp from several things because, of course, they've been performing for a long time, just like how Big Buddha's been interviewing for a long time. So that was beautiful to see that too. And then after that, there was myself. Oh boy. And I didn't go on as a storyteller, but I went on as the founder. And my focus was much more about how we decided to not just cancel our event. Yes, we did postpone some things for 2021, but that we decided to move forward and that art carries on. Ah, yes. Oh, and Jim, you're saying, except they were playing Celtic music and the elf is from Germany. Ah, yes, but if you look at Celtic history, I mean, it really expanded across so many countries of modern time. I don't know, there could still be some, maybe you can rethink about that. But yes, Celtic music, it still has a magical power no matter where that elf is from. But yes, true, the shoemaker elf story does come from Germany, so that would make sense. But yeah, so I did my piece there, and the tricky part is mentioning about funders, because I wish I could just list all the funders. I was able to at least say a couple of them, but some of our funders have really long names, and if you're only down to 2 minutes, it gets really tricky. So one of them that would be really hard to say, which I can say right now, is Utah Division of Arts and Museums. I mean, think how many seconds that just took. Utah Division of Arts and Museums, and they've been amazing. Then there's WestStaff, but most people don't know what is WestStaff, and that's Western States Arts Federation. Again, that takes a long time to say and explain. Though I guess I could have maybe quickly said National Endowment for the Arts, or Salt Lake City Arts Council, or Utah Humanities. But yeah, if I listed them all out, my 2 minutes would be gone. We really do have a lot of amazing, wonderful funders, and I almost was tempted to have a sign, have the logos, and flash it, but I knew that wouldn't work. But that's deep down my heart. Funders, if you are listening to this, that is what I wanted to do. But good news. One of the things that was done today, we were creating full page images for our streaming. So at the very end of the wonderful live streaming, we can thank our funders, we can talk about donations, and of course, we have to give credit to our videographers, and because they're behind the camera. At least our performers, we see them, we hear their name, but you don't usually get to see and hear the names of the videographers. So, in their honor, I put one together. I sent one to Sterling, who is the head videographer, and he approved it. And he said it looks great. So, I was happy about that. Hurrah! And the other thing that had to be done with this checklist of things is making sure everyone knows when to come to my home for filming. Now, we have to have people not stay when they're done. We can't have extra audience members. Basically, the videographers are the audience members. So they're being really helpful, being that human that a performer can actually perform to. Because it's really hard to perform just to, well, a laptop. Like right now, I can read your thoughts, so at least I feel like you're with me. But it's a little weird, In a way, my laptop is kind of like a cyclops. It has that one camera, one eye. Yeah. Have you ever talked to a cyclops? How comfortable are you with that? Huh? Yeah. But luckily, at least because of the camera people, they will have people to listen and appreciate. Besides, of course, the ones getting it streamed. But we all know that live is best, even though we do our best to make streaming wonderful. And then we had to say, well, this is what time we need the videographers here, and then this is what time we need for the sound. This is what time we need for the interpreters. So they kind of all have staggering times, but I feel like it's the appropriate amount of time. They're not there too long, and you always want to be there early, because once you're there, you want to be able to just relax. You want to soak in the ambiance, even if this ambiance is my own home. Hopefully they will soak in the ambiance of the wooden cupboards around them. Maybe they will smell the pine sol. I don't know, but that does feed into what a performer does. And then we just see what happens when it's the day of. So when this is done, another thing that I have to do is I need to reach out again to the interpreters. I have their names, and I'm going to say, can we do a Zoom check? Because we're doing the streaming, and that we already checked, but can we do a Zoom check and make sure that this is going to be lovely in the lighting and the sound? Well, I guess they don't need sound. I just realized that. But at least for the lighting, that they can be seen for their interpretation for the workshops. So, whew, it is so close. It is exciting. It is coming together, everybody. Now, I'm looking at the time, and I know I started late, but I still want to end about on time because, like I said, it's countdown of some things I kind of want to take care of. But I would like to share a story that kind of reminded of our situation just a little bit in general with the world. And this is a Greek tale. So if you have learned Greek mythology, usually you focus a lot on these amazing human heroes or demigods or those kinds of things. But this one's very different because it involves animals. Oh, Jack Skeleton, thank you. 35 hours, 12 minutes. Eek! You know, I'm in the eek mode. Sometimes I make a lot of noise when I'm excited, but most of the time it's an eek. And Dave and Carol Sharp definitely have heard me do the eek. Jim, I think you've heard me do eeks every so often when I'm excited. It's like eek! Maybe I'm like a little mouse or something. I don't know. It must be the gray cap and I'm kind of... But whatever it is, I'm getting really excited. Oh yeah, we'll see I eek again. I better jump into that story before I keep eeking the whole time. So, this is a Greek tale. And Zeus was going to get married. Now, Zeus had gotten around. He had his fill of mortal and immortal women, but eventually he decided it would be best to get married. Now, of course, having that marriage would never stall him from doing all those escapades, but he still wanted a wonderful wedding. And he invited everybody. I mean, Ares was there, and Athena was there, and all of these were there, but he needed more guests. He wanted the animals. And so he invited the horse, and he invited the rabbit, and he invited all of these creatures. And who would deny Zeus? No one. So every single animal was there. This was much more filled with animals than Noah's Ark. Oh, yes. Except there was one animal that wasn't there. And Zeus, looking out on this wedding feast, he was making note that he did not see Turtle. Zeus knew, being as powerful as he was also amazing in sending out invitations. He knew that Turtle received an invitation, and yet Turtle was not at that wedding feast. So without saying anything to his guests, he took off. And he streaked across the sky with all lightning and thunder behind him. And he landed right near the pond. There was Turtle hiding under a leaf. "Why were you not at my wedding?" And Turtle didn't answer. "Why were you not at my wedding?" And Turtle still didn't answer. "Why were you not at my wedding?" And finally, Turtle knew that She could not stall any longer, and she peeked out from under that leaf, and very quietly she said, "But there's no place like home." When Zeus heard this, he did not understand this. If you know Zeus's personality, you would see why. He would never stay in one place. He would never stay with one mortal. He would never stay with one immortal. And, well, he had one wife, but still, he did not understand this at all. And so he reached up with his hand, and from the sky summoned forth the mightiest of lightnings, and he threw it down at Turtle and said, "If home is your favorite place, then it shall be with you forever." And when that light struck Turtle, Turtle felt such a burden that even her legs just kind of bent in half a little bit, and her neck just got some extra wrinkles back there from something that was behind. She had a shell. The leaf that had covered her was not a leaf anymore. It was a shell. And there were cracks all over because of how that lightning flew across it. Now you might think that Turtle didn't like the burden of that shell. But Turtle still did love home. And sometimes, like all of us, we are stuck at home. And we can like it, like Turtle, or perhaps not, like Zeus. But whatever we decide, if we're stuck at home, we might as well have a nice feast for ourselves, wedding or no. And so that is a Greek story. Just thinking about all of us staying at home where we need to be safe, or sometimes, like with our festival, being able to broadcast from home. And that's just what you have to do sometimes. And I am excited. I hope that all of you are going to join in. Thank you. Thank you. Huzzah, yes. Yay. So that means David, Jack Skeleton, Jim, thank you. I'm glad you appreciated that. And Lolo, nice to see you too. Oh, and it's your birthday? Okay, everybody. It's Lolo's birthday. We are totally going to sing. I may not hear you, so you'll just hear me. But Lolo, I am willing to sing solo for you. Can we sing? I'm going to sing. Oh, okay, good. I'll take that as a good sign. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lolo. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Hope it's even more merry, and you can have a belated birthday present just by coming to Spectacular on Wednesday. Oh, and thank you, David. So you were singing along? Oh, perfect. See, Lolo, I wasn't singing solo. Yes, indeed. I love it. Oh, I'm so excited for Wednesday. Come back. It's going to be, as you can see on the screen, starting at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. We're going to kick off with Baba Yaga the Witch. Oh, man. And then we're going to have Dave and Carol Sharp with their Celtic songs and stories. Again, oh, man. And then we're going to have 11 a.m. We're going to have that premiere of our 17 youth and community tellers, which, remember, my kids didn't know what they loved the most, so they really loved it. And then we have the workshops, and then we have the Shoemaker Elf, oh man, and then we have the Gashler Family Storytelling Show, oh man. So by the end of the day, you'll just be so excited, filled with story, that you will start telling stories yourself. That's what I'm hoping. All right, everybody, I better get to work. We only have how much time left? How much time left to that festival now? Someone calculate. We gotta know. What is the left? How many hours? How many minutes? Do we have the calculation yet? Anyone? Okay, so if it's about this time, we know it's about 26, 34. 35 hours, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. Yes! Thank you, Jack Skeleton. So that is how close it is. Hurrah! Huzzah! Yes! And all those wonderful exclamations. Spread the word. It's going to be spectacular. Until we tell again, everybody, thank you so much.